Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium, and I have a whole posse of political guides that I talk to answer your questions that you submit on my community page via YouTube. We are going to start part 2. I've already done part 1. This is the week of October 26th. Check out part 1 if you haven't seen it. There's some really good, let's call them juicy questions that you guys have submitted to me and to the guides to answer. And as I said in the first video, I had 100 questions. Obviously, I can't get to everybody, but I'm going to try to talk fast. And my dogs are helping me in the backyard barking as well, because why not, right? Okay, so we're going to get started with Anonymous M says, MTG. You guys got to know who this is by now. I like the way they call her Margie. MTG seems to think that she will be Trump's running mate. What do the guides say? Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. This is for entertainment purposes only, for real, because that laugh was what the guides just told me. And I have to be so careful these days because, yes, things are dicey. We're getting ready to be going into the season, not the hunting season, the VOTING season. Okay, so I have to be careful. The guides said that MTG was going to be arrested. I've got new guides. I'm going to tell you because yesterday they were using words that I was like, this isn't typical. Like, well, you know, I still have Edward R. Murrow. I mean, he's still sitting there smoking to my stage left, whatever that is. He just raises his eyebrows at this new guide. This new guide is responsible for these clothes because he said that I wasn't dressing. I needed to dress up a little more. Let's just put it that way. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It cracked me up. MTG is going to be in jail or in prison, depending on how much money she has left and what kind of attorney she can buy. Oh, my God. And 45's prospects for running for president are 0. He's not going to run for president. He's going to be in a romper room. He's going to be house arrest. We've talked about this. The guides have talked about this for a year. They've always seen him. I'm sorry to say, I don't see him going behind bars, but I do see him in a house arrest situation. And lately, I think it's more and more possible that they ring him up for some kind of insanity and lock him up for his own good, right? But really what that means is it's for the United States' own good because, yes, allegedly he may be insane and allegedly he may be a criminal, but whatever it is that he has affected the United States and he continues to do so in a way that, in my opinion, is harmful. How about that, attorneys out there? How did I do? Okay, so thank you, Anonymous M, for that laugh first, right off the bat. I appreciate that. And so if you're new here, I'm channeling these messages. It's about 60% not me, my consciousness, my guides, my spirit guides that I have around me that specifically are here to help me with this task. And about 40% is Susan. But you can see when I laugh, you can actually see how fast it stops. If you pay attention, you can really see when the guides come and go. When I take over the majority of the consciousness, I will laugh, boom, it's just like that, it stops. You can literally see it if you watch closely. So here we go. Joyce Gibson says, curious about Zelensky and how his family are holding up. He's, you know, right. So the guides are saying people in he's sort of like a general. He's got this energy about him of being a general. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean that he's a military, you know, despot or anything like that. What it means is that he's very involved. Now, I don't see him micromanaging, so don't hear that. He's not micromanaging, but he's very involved. He visits the wounded troops. He understands. He visits the families of the fallen soldiers if they're still in Ukraine or within, you know, Kyiv. He's got a big heart, is what they're trying to say. He's not a cold general or a cold politician who just sees all of these people as little figures on a map that run this way and run that way, and whatever. He feels it. He really feels every loss and every injury. He has tremendous strain and stress on his body. So what the guide started out saying is that he's not kind of cut out for this. He's too empathic. He's too much of a sensitive man to be leading the nation under such horrendous horrendous crimes and harm. But you might also say we need that. They needed that kind of man. They need that because I think his soul being so open and willing to feel for all of his people gives those people soul. It gives them courageous. They're fighting for him. They know he cries with them. So he's doing as well as he can. It's taken a toll. I'm not going to lie. It's taken a physical toll on his body. Getting a tone in my left ear, which is receiving. It's taking a toll on him, but he's doing okay. He really is. He really is doing okay. Of course, he'll never be the person he was. He'll be a much more hardened person. Those crimes against humanity, you better believe that as long as he's drawing air, he will be fighting to find those criminals, those war criminals. He will be fighting to have The Hague and other international courts hold those people accountable. You can just bet everything on that. He's never going to let those people live a day of peace. He will always be hunting for them. So he's not the same man he was, but he's doing okay. Thank you and of course, we've often talked about how do we send energy? Like, how do you send energy to Zelensky? How do you send energy to Ukraine? It's such an embattled place, an embattled energy, that your energy can actually be harmed if you really don't know what you're doing, and you have abilities but you don't know you do. You can just go on over there. Your energy can literally easily be directed over there, and you might find yourself having a real hit to your solar plexus, your heart chakra, regarding all of the grief, and that can be debilitating. It can really, really, really affect your physical body and your energetic body. So the guides suggest that you use an intermediary, that you go pray, send your energy to we don't care. Send your energy to Jesus, Metatron, an archangel, an alien spaceship, don't care. But find an intermediary to send your energy up, and then let that intermediary send the energy that way. Okay, thank you for that question. I appreciate it. Soul Shine says, Lindsay Graham is their senator. We should all just have a moment of silence for Soul Shine. Yeah, I'm sorry, dear. Okay, what is the outcome for his corruption? Well, you guys, I saw, the guides showed me, apropos of nothing, I think I was washing the dishes, a picture of Lindsay Graham sitting at this table in what looked like a golf club, country club setting. He was looking to his right, which was a beautiful, immaculate garden green kind of area. I don't know if it was a golf course, but it was beautiful. And he looked over there and he said, "We're effed," with so much intensity. And then he said, "I'm effed," meaning himself. He's flocked. Okay, not the Christmas tree flocking. I'm talking about flocked. Yeah, the outcome is that what they said in the last video is he's playing his cards. All these people have been dealt their final hand of cards. There's no more shenanigans. The courts have now gotten the message that they've got to play by the rules. They've really got to follow the law to the letter, that they're going to be scrutinized, that the Federalist Society is going to be scrutinized. They don't want that. They don't want to call any attention to themselves. So now you're going to see the court of law actually hold these people accountable, which they weren't doing the whole reign of terror of 45, and really honestly, up until just recently. So Lindsay's been dealt these cards. It's game over. The guides just told me it's game over for him. I don't know how he's going to handle that, because on one hand, without the power that he wields, he doesn't have to lie awake at night thinking that somebody has something on him, that somebody has some kind of alleged blackmail or some kind of thing like that. So in one hand, he can just walk away from it all. And so do you understand what the guides are saying? Oftentimes, read what the guides aren't saying. So they're not saying he's going to jail. They're saying that he's going to have an opportunity to walk away from everything. Now, it might be that the DOJ, his other option is to go to jail. He's not going to do that, you guys. And they're showing me if he turns state witness, or if he turns against 45, his political career is over anyway. So who cares at that point if they blackmail him? Do you understand? So that's what's kind of held him in this orbit of 45 is, and the guides have said this for a long, long time, that there's a certain country that starts with an R that has a dossier on, or, a list of blackmail items on every single one of those people. And every time you see McConnell or Lindsey Graham say 45 is crazy and I never should and I never would, and then what happens is they walk it back. Sometimes within hours, they're back on the TV saying, no, I think he's got a good idea. Sometimes it takes a couple of days, but they always walk it back. Many of these Republicans have done that. Many of them have said terrible things about 45 and then walked it back. Well, why is that? Why do you think that's happening? Why would they change their mind? Why would they be so vehemently against him and then all of a sudden be singing his praises? Well, that's because somebody let them know, you forgot about this little thing that I have that maybe your family doesn't want to know about, right? Maybe that would ruin your career. And right now they're showing me Madison Cawthorn, right? Madison Cawthorn was the poster boy for anti-everything. And then a picture surfaces with him in a bustier. Look it up if you don't know what it is. He looked real good in it, and I'm not saying he shouldn't do it. I'm all for that. You want to wear a bustier and you're a man, go for it. I don't care. You want to dress up like Bugs Bunny? I don't care either. As long as you follow the law and don't go after other people that, don't have your moral whatever excuses and get out of jail free card and then hold everybody else to some other standard, right? So Madison Cawthorn got thrown out, right? Pretty quickly. So, and that was because he started talking about those cocaine fueled orgies, and then boom, his little self was out. Okay. So the whole point being that this is what's holding Lindsey Graham there. And if he doesn't have a career anyway, then he's got nothing to lose, and he'll turn against 45 and take his golden parachute and jump out, because they're showing me right now that even though he is being held in an orbit by R and 45, he still has the goods on other people. Okay, so the way the guides show me the Republican Party works, it's a lot like a secret society, where to be a member of it, and even like a motorcycle gang, right? To be a member or any kind of gang, you got to do something bad that would put you in prison, so that I know you can put me in prison, but I know I can put you in prison. Therefore, we're locked forever into this, relationship of covering each other up, right? So that's what they've showed me about the Republican Party. So my point is, guides, that he's going to be okay. He's going to get a golden parachute, because there's going to be people that hire him. There's going to be people that bring him into the fold in some institute or think tank, because he still has the dirt on people and they still have the dirt on him, and they need to take care of him. So that's what they have to say about that. I don't know why it was important for me to prove that Lindsey Graham is going to be okay, but apparently it was important. I don't know. I don't know. I go down these rabbit holes because the guides are talking to me, and here we are. Okay, thank you for your question. Sue Perkins. So all that to say that Lindsay Graham is out of there. Okay. All right. Sue Perkins has Belarus actively joined Putin's war against Ukraine. What does this mean for Ukraine? That's such a good question, Sue. First of all, I just want to say that I do see something good happening for Ukraine in December. There's some kind of change. There's some kind of something big happens in December that benefits Ukraine. So that's good. Secondly, when I've been asked this question, and the guides have been asked this question in the past, when I go into Belarus, the people don't support their leader. Honestly, number one, they don't support Lukashenko. Number two, they don't support this war. They don't want to be a part of this war. There's even less support among their people for this war than in R. So, or RUSSIA. So I've seen a combination of factors, two things. First of all, the people protesting, the people causing a lot of trouble for the government. I feel like Lukashenko feels that he's got a very tenuous hold on his leadership, and he doesn't really want or need, they're saying, a big, huge protest against him. He's kind of trying to keep things kind of just low-grade boil, right? Which is what you've seen, because he sort of started helping P and R, and then he pulled back. Okay. Remember when the guides are showing me, remember when the railroads got bombed, when they were putting all those supplies going into to help Russia, the citizens bombed the railroads. So that's one thing. Okay, that's one factor, and it's a big one. But the second factor is there is, and I got to be careful how much I say here, but let's just say there's an international group of countries that are trying to lure him away from ours influence and into more of an economic pact with them. So money walks and money talks and BS walks, right? So, sorry, my dog is in here doing something crazy. I don't know. I hope she hasn't brought something that's alive in here. Don't do that. Don't eat things. Don't eat things that are alive. Jesus Christ. Okay, so anyway, So these international, that's my microphone, these international countries are working at him from the other angle, like, hey, you've got some resources. We'd like to buy those resources. We'd like to buy some things from you. We'd like to give you some aid, but we can't do it because you're supporting this megalomaniac. So there's pressure coming at him from both sides. And I don't see him joining any more than he already has joined, to be honest with you. He has to be careful too, because the guides are telling me, and I think this is correct, but the guides are telling me that are already annexed part of that country. So there's a part that's kind of quasi under our control. So he has to be careful. He's kind of walking a thin line, to be honest with you. And they're telling me right now that he's also worried that if he doesn't toe the line with R, that he could fall down some stairs or fall out of a window, if you understand what I'm saying. And they're talking about regime change. So there's a lot going on, to be honest with you, in Belarus that is not at all visible. But all of these things are happening under the surface. So hopefully that gives you some more insight. Thank you for your question. Cindy Clifford says she's concerned for Vice President Harris's safety since her security had a one-car accident. I didn't even know about that. Is she at high risk for danger from her Secret Service agents? She's at the same, she's at the same risk of danger as she has always been, which is a high risk because she's the first Black female vice president. So she's already been targeted from her Secret Service agents. I feel like there is somebody, the detail rotates, they're telling me. So obviously somebody got to have a day off to sleep, right? So there's a rotating detail, and there is somebody on that detail that is not trustworthy, but not going to do her harm, but is sharing her whereabouts, her location, her itinerary. And that gives me the chills. Probably not in a good way. I see her being okay. I'm not going to tell you that something won't be attempted, and I'm not going to tell you that she won't be close to some sort of an attempt, but I see her being okay. I do not see her being, falling down some stairs or anything like that. I don't see that for her. Thank you for your question. John Mikowski says over the weekend, okay. Liz Cheney will not allow 45 to do a TV performance before the January 6th committee. Do you think he would even show up, or just do his normal delay dance? Well, the thing about 45 is that he loves the camera. He loves to have an opportunity to speak to people. So if he could give, and that's why he wanted to have it be a live TV performance, right? He wants to control the narrative. So they are not going to publish this at all, because if they published any part of it, his minions would chop it up to little bits and use it forever for his, grift, alleged grift. So do I think he's going to show up? They just said no. He is going to delay it. They're not again, I don't see the Jan 6 or the DOJ doing anything before our championship of democracy, which is happening in November. I don't see that because, there's just a whole bunch of reasons. But anyway, I don't see that. They're happy. This Jan 6 committee has I'm sorry, there's so many brutal analogies here, but we did have the analogy of the 100 archers, so there is that. But they basically speared him, and now he has a rope tied to him. I mean, he's been subpoenaed. He can flop around and cry and mew and do whatever he wants to do. He's still been subpoenaed. So the Jan 6 committee is fine to wait. They'll wait this out a little bit. In the end result, after some delays, I think he will go before them, because I think they're quite serious and they will ring him up. You know what I mean? They'll bring him before a judge. So I think he will eventually he will, yes. But right now the answer is no. Whoo, okay, thank you so much. Soulshine again says, any more stimulus checks going to everyone from the federal government? I don't see that. Now, you may see it in a different format. You might see like, it's not stimulus. It's not going to be like an everyone gets a stimulus, but I can see certain contingencies, that's not the word. Never mind. I can see certain groups of people get something like for instance, they're showing me in California, they gave renters assistance, whatever. So I see the government maybe doing some things like that, but every time they do it, they're going to get challenged, just the way Biden got challenged with reducing the debt, the college debt, the loan debt. I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see an overall stimulus. The problem is, I'm not even going to get into the problem, but I don't see it. Victoria Cleary says, I'm trying to make these shorter and the guides can just go on forever. Victoria Cleary says, will Stone flip on 45? Great question, actually, because that was if you would have asked me that last week, I would have said no. I think the guides would have said no. Something has changed, right? Just like with Lindsay Graham, something has changed. These people now see the writing on the wall, and the last bastion, their last hope was the courts. Their last hope was the Supreme Court. They were feeling their oats. They were thinking, hey, the Supreme Court's going to throw out anything, and I'm never going to get, nothing's ever going to happen to me because the Supreme Court's got our back. Well, guess what? As we've said, the Federalist Society sent out a little memo to all their people and said, no, you guys need to back off, toe the law, toe the line, because we can't go there, right? So yes, I do think Stone may flip on 45 at that point, at this point, but not for the reason you think. Not because, it has. Wait a minute, they're changing it right in the middle of me talking. Okay, all right, yeah. All right. So it turns out he has a personal vendetta against 45. He has a personal vendetta against 45. He wants to tear 45 down. And it also makes that whole idea so much better that he may get something out of it, right? He may not go to prison for 10 years or 5 years or even 3 years. He may go to prison for 6 months or a year and bring down 45, who he sees as a lackey and as a PUSSY. So, yeah, he's gunning for 45 now. That's new to me. That's interesting. Wow, that energy made my head hurt. Okay, thank you for your question. Susie Hatcher says, wondering about the governor race in Kansas. I'm hearing about a lot of Republicans voting for Democrats. What? Yes, love it. Okay. Darn. They said she's going to win. Are you having two? Are there two women running? Great. So I just looked it up, and yes, the Democrat is a woman and she's running against a man. So they said she's going to win. So that sounds good to me. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Emma Sue, what do the guides want us to know this week or this month? Great question, Emma Sue. We are about 2 weeks, I guess, out before the day of victory. And what they want you to know is it's often darkest just before the sun rises. So I think we're going to have some real shenanigans. I have to try to use different words, right? I think we're going to see some things that are going to be disheartening, and around the thing that you do in the booth with the BALLOT. So we're going to see some things pushing and shoving and just BS. And I think that we're going to have some in your local cities. Now, this isn't nationwide. I'm not talking about a civil, thing, WAR. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about hot spots, little hot spots across the country. Now, of course, these are likely going to be in Democratic strongholds like Atlanta, Baltimore, LA, whatever. You're going to see those areas are going to possibly have even some civil discourse or some civil unrest. So that's something that you should know, specifically around the day of voting and the week after that. Darn, I said that word. The week after that. But it all washes out. We're all okay. I think the thing that we carry with us into December is knowledge, is this surprising knowledge that I feel like we're going to find out some discoveries, some surprises about maybe some people that are on a local police force, or some people that are in, and again, Brad, that guy Raffensperger, whoever that guy is he in Georgia? he has come up twice now in my mind for no reason that I can understand. So obviously he's going to be involved again. But I think we're going to find, what they're telling me is we're going to find out some more shocking betrayals, like people that we trust, like whatever they are, police officers or whatever they are, that were actively working against democracy. So those are the things that we're going to find out. Those are kind of the leftover, the hangover feeling of, wow, that's a letdown. I can't believe that happened. Maybe there's undue use of force against somebody. It seems like something like that could happen. But the guides want us to know this is the championship of democracy. We're going to win it. There may be a candidate that is well known that does not win. I'm telling you right now, I feel like I'm going to be crying, but overall, it's a win. We have the majority. We add many seats, 3-4 seats to the Senate. We add seats to the House. Overall, it is a win. But because there's going to be some very public race that the Democrat doesn't win, that's all you're going to hear about. So I don't want you to get sucked down that rabbit hole. Overall, it's a win. We're not going to win it all, but we're going to win enough. Okay, we're going to win enough. So hopefully that makes sense. Thank you for your question. Dusty Rose says, following the midterm tsunami, which is great, and domestic potential issues, like we just talked about, how safe is it to fly? I don't see a problem with that mode of transportation. I don't see a problem at the airports. I see problems in downtowns, in big, dim cities. That's where I see the problems. Now, I do think we're going to have an uptick in the the COVID this fall. So if you're flying, I would be extra careful around that. But other than that, I don't see any trouble with airlines, airplanes, or that mode of travel, or even driving for that matter. Just the cities. So thank you for your question. Raven of Your 32 says, do you see Ron D. Do I have to say his name? Santos as the next president? Oh my God, I should have read that before I said it. Or U.S. president in his lifetime. Oh my God, I can't tell you how that makes me feel. Okay. No. Thank God. No. Unequivocal. No. That's the energy that I'm getting is no. Now, does that mean we're not gonna have another version of him? Possibly. This is a lesson. We're going to have it. They're going to serve it to us on a big platter until we learn it, until we learn to say no to this kind of people, until we learn as a people, what do we want? The guides are always saying, what do humans want? What will they choose? It's up to us. So these lessons will continue to present themselves to us until we keep answering them the same way so many times that they don't need to get till we learn our lesson, right? So they don't need to be presented to us. I don't see him. I've often seen him having some trouble with money and a washing machine. If you understand those two things. So, with a washing machine, you launder things, right? So I see some money issues maybe coming in his next year. I see that in 23. Also, I will say that right now, Krista's doing pretty well in my estimation of that race right now. The energies are just close. It's very hard for me to say who's going to win when they're just this close. It's tight. Some of these races are really tight. Okay, Suja P says, and I'm sorry to mispronounce your name. Thank you for being a new viewer. As Tim Ryan stated, we are all tired of these shenanigans. Will there ever be a time when both parties merge and be united and stop all these political maneuvers and be for the people? Well, no. This world, this earth we live on is yin and yang. I mean, it's meant to be a place where we learn. It's a learning school for souls. So we're always going to have some choice, right? And to have a choice, you need to have, a choice, something different. But what I can say is that there is a time coming when we're less divided, when there's more, the guides want to say guardrails. There's more guardrails. So these politicians just can't defame other people and say things that are not true. We're going to create real guardrails around this so that we have to have decorum. We have to have truth. And within that, it's going to tighten up the two parties because, you can't just go off crazy and say crazy things, right? If you have to stay within these guardrails, then it's really going to be a matter of pure choice, right? Like, I believe this is a better economic platform. I believe this is a better economic platform. And that's that. So I do see us going that way because, frankly, democracy can't survive the way it is right now. So look for that in 25, 26. We'll be taking steps towards that between now and then, but they'll feel like baby steps. You might not even really notice the potential of that step to help anything, but it is, every step puts us, closer. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with choice. We just need to stop this bullying and the defamation and the untrue accusations, and frankly, the meddling in our democracy from other countries via the stooges that they're paying, that are in our Senate and in our House of Representatives, and also, frankly, in our judgeships, and for sure in the media. So that's what needs to happen. And now Biden's actually working on that right now. He's aware of that, and he's working on this is new. He's working on a plan. Guess what? I think Biden knows we're going to win. He's working on a plan right now that he's going to put forth to the House and the Senate. That he, I see this in January, right? They always, presidents go on and say, this is my agenda for, 2023. And that's going to be his agenda. And the House and the Senate are going to likely pick that up and run with it. So he's already started this, which is great. Thank you for your question. Freda Stinger said, concerned about public education. It's been declining for decades, but now with all the history that the right want to eliminate from teaching, along with book burning and banning and force of religion in schools, will the right succeed in destroying public education? If not, how long will it take to have good and complete education in our public schools? Learning all the truth of history and using critical thinking is so very important. It is, and I'm in my news diet right now, and I literally only listen to NPR when I'm in the car, and I can't even do that anymore. And I love NPR and I support NPR, but I can't. I just can't hear it. I cannot hear this stuff. It is very upsetting. So they were talking about how this dark money is now funding local school board races and taking over the school boards and funding also the Texas state school board race. And literally they got a whole group of their people in our local in Houston, and so now they're eyeing the state races, and they're doing the same thing. So I had what they call in Texas a come apart this morning, and I was this is the Susan version. Susan is saying, well, they're dumbing down the South, and they just want everybody to be worker bees and to vote for their ideology, and smart people will move to the North. And then and this is me. This is not the guides. This is me. And I'm coming up with this whole thing, and I'm saying, oh, but it's okay because it'll just be the South. And then I realized that the South will then vote all these ignorant, meaning unlearned people will now vote for president. So then I was freaking out for real. And then my guides had to sit me down and say, at a red light, thank God, and say, thank God for them. They said, the kids, you're forgetting about the kids. These kids in these schools have this thing called Google. and they're going to be educating themselves, and they're going to be learning about this, and they're going to bust this up from the inside out. Okay, so I think something that I've overlooked, and I think a lot of us have overlooked, is the kids. These kids, the majority of them, now of course there are pockets that aren't, but the majority of them don't see race the way the Republicans do. They don't see gay and transgender. They see that as being more fluid. You're seeing more. I know people who have grandkids who are fluid with their gender. Doesn't make them transgender. They're fluid. I don't even know all the new words that we're using now to describe all the different ways that someone can be, gender identified. So these kids are doing it themselves. And if you're involved, if you're dating a Black person or a Hispanic person or an Asian person, you're going to start learning about their life. You're going to start learning about their troubles and their viewpoint and how they experience racism or otherness. And game over, folks. Number one, it is scary as hell. I'm not going to lie. It's scary. If I was a parent and I had kids right now, I'd be freaking out. I really would. But these old white people are on their way out. They're on their way out of this realm of existence, if you understand what I'm saying. Number one. Number two, the kids are now going to start standing up and speaking out, and they're not going to put up with this. Now, that has other implications that I really want to talk about in a video one time, because these kids, so I'm 57, so I was born in 65. I didn't experience the 60s the way some people did, right? Meaning that you had this group of people in our society that were, straights, meaning they were business suits and dresses. And then you have these people that are like peace, love, sex, drugs, rock and roll with long hair. So you can see the clash, right? You can see the clash there. Guess what? We're queuing up another one of those. These kids are not going to comply with whatever society thinks that they need to comply with. Okay. And that is why Republicans are freaking out, because truth be told, their granddaughter might be visiting them on the weekend and dressed as a boy. And that's freaking them out. But that's these kids. A lot of these kids are star seeds. They're not from around these parts, you guys. This might be their second time on planet Earth or their fifth time on planet Earth. Guess what? They don't care what you think is man and what you think is woman, or what you think they should learn or not learn. They don't care. So this is the new energy, the new influence that we're going to have. And it starts right now with this election. They're going to be voting Dem. The guides have been saying this. Gen X, Gen Z, all these younger people are going to be voting Dem. It doesn't mean they're Dems. Heads up. It does not mean they're Dems. It means that they know that they have two choices, and the lesser of those two evils is the Dems. And I'm just being honest with you. So in 24, we have 2 years, folks, to figure out who these people are and what they want, and help them get what they want, bring them into the fold. The Dems are the people that accept those types of people. Our tent is big. We're come on in. We'll give you a seat at this table. We'll do what we can. But even that is not enough for them. Okay. So education is going to change dramatically. This is a fight for education. They do want to privatize it. They do want to take all that money for themselves. They want to have nothing but charter schools and make it all for profit. That's what they want. They're using these other things to scare people the way they always do, but it's really about the money, as it always is. I don't see that happening. I feel that we're going to have a pretty good run of Dem leadership for the next 8 years. Did I say 8 years? They said 8 years. Okay, let's not get cocky. Let's not get overconfident, because it's a rough 8. I'm not kidding you guys. These kids are going to kick our butts. They really are. They're going to be protesting against us just as much as they are anybody else. But I do see us coming out of it. We are in a free fall, a tailspin, a deep dive, but I do see us pulling it out. That was a lot. Sorry that I went on, but the guides wanted to get that message across. Thank you for your question. I'm probably going to end this, and I might do a part 3. We'll see. Zendal says, will our democracy survive all the corruption from the right? Yes, it will. It really will survive it. It's no lie. We are at a precipice. We are at a place where it could have gone the wrong way, really and truly. And it is not over yet. We still have to ferret out these groups, these people, and bring them out into the sunshine and bring them before a court of law. And if nothing else, hold them accountable the first time they do something, not the 10th time, the first time that they, are violent against somebody or even threaten. We've got to start sending a message much, much quicker, and then they won't be so bold. So, but yes, we are going to pull this out, thankfully. CC Texas says, right. I'm going to try to make this short, but Texas and some other red states have been offering schools DNA tests. Now, they were offering the school kids, these DNA tests under the guise of your child could be abducted. Now, what are they doing? Scaring people because the illegal aliens are going to come and abduct your kids, and the Democrats are going to abduct your kids. So they were scaring people by saying, you better buy one of these DNA tests, because if your kid goes missing, we're going to be able to find them through their DNA in their remains, which is, look, if somebody wants to put a graph and some really hard evidence, data, maybe I would believe that this is something that we really need to address. But now Texas has gotten funding. Texas passed a bill where the state pays for a certain number of these DNA tests that are sent home to school parents of school children. So this woman says she received one of those DNA kits for the children in case tragedy happens. Well, now really what these parents are saying is this is for school gun violence, because these ARs leave nothing identifiable, nothing. So, the unspoken message here is, you really ought to fill this out. You really ought to send your kids DNA, because we can't protect your kid at school. So we at least want to be able to send you the right part back that's left. This is how it is in the South, y'all. It's rough. It's rough down here. I'm telling you. So, she wants to know, what can we expect? Are other parents as mad as we are? Yeah, that's the reason why these women are going into the booth and pushing the little D button, even though they're not telling their husbands, because their husband might have 5 ARs right there in the corner of the bedroom. And she cannot say that she's terrified. But all she can do, just like the kids, just like the Gen X's, the Gen Zers, all they can do is vote D. So yes, parents are upset. Parents are mad. And this is where we had to be. We had to get to this point where it's almost like shaking them awake. It's the same thing with the school boards, shaking these parents awake. This is important. This is a book you read when you were in middle school, and now your kid can't read it. It's not ha funny. It's important. It's your kid's education. It's important that your kid be safe at school. Why couldn't they take that money and put it towards metal detectors? You know? So yes, they're mad. And yes, this is going to help turn the tide against the R's. It really is. You can make people afraid and use that fear to control them. But sometimes if you make them too afraid, they're going to be looking for a real solution instead of just wanting to be afraid all the time, which is what the Republicans want. So when they go looking for a solution, they realize the Democrats have the solutions. So yeah, let me do a few more questions. Okay, now how did I get this? I think, I don't know what just happened. June Sparks Bell asked, I saw June Sparks Bell can and food, and somehow I got cupcake. I'm not kidding you. I have been thinking about cupcakes lately. I'm planning on having a party for Halloween, and I was thinking about having cupcakes at my party. So maybe that, but none of that says cupcake. I'm sorry, June. Can you update us on how food shortages and rioting look like through the end of the year? Will we make it through unscathed? Listen, June, it's the same thing they've been saying. I don't see food shortages. I just don't see it. Now, you may find the food in your particular area is very high, or you may find high priced, or you may find the food in your area, like there's a shortage of turkeys, or there's a shortage of X, whatever it is, right? You may find that, but I don't see widespread food shortages. I don't see that. Also, your question is, will we make it through the end of the year unscathed with what's happening after? Again, I see mid-November through mid-December, specifically mid-November through December. All right, mid-December. Stuff's going to happen. Stuff's going to happen. I just saw something potentially at like the Macy's Day Parade, the Thanksgiving parade. I don't know, you guys. I don't know. It's dark. It's dark. And when I go into this energy and I see all the potential, now these are potentials. These are potentials. These are not guaranteed things, because if I know about it, then usually ATF knows about it, or, you know, the FBI or CIA. If I can tap into this energy, if you don't think that they're using psychics, you're wrong. So they're in it too. Now, but there could be some, they're telling me an uptick in violence, an uptick in violence in general. And that is because of the uncertainty around the day, the big day. But it sort of, if you're looking at a graph, it kind of peaks and then it goes down. As we go into Christmas, I personally feel like it's mostly calm, certainly way calmer, way calmer than the previous couple of weeks. Okay. So I sense that it's going to be way calmer. I feel like Christmas is going to be a good Christmas, a good Hanukkah, a good whatever you celebrate in that middle to latter part of December. I feel like it's really a time of healing and peace. I'm not saying something can't happen, but overall, I feel like maybe it's just the Democrats are giddy that we won, but I feel like that time of the year is in pretty good shape. With that, I'm going to end this video because I have no idea how long this has been going, probably about an hour. And if I can manage my time, I might pop up another version of this, because there's really good questions that I really want to get to. And there's a guy from Romania. I saw your messages. I want to answer them. I know that you need answers and you're worried about your part of the country, and I get that. And I want to help you. So I probably will do another video. So You never know with me, right? Check it out and see if it's there. I am going to post some other videos because I feel like I want to talk about something other than politics. I want to talk about something different. So I'm going to be posting, hopefully I'm going to be posting some ghost videos and some spiritual videos as well. Thank you so much. If you've watched to the end, again, thank you so much for supporting me, for being on this journey with me. I'm on this journey with you. We're in this journey together. We're going to make it. We're going to make it out the other side. Everything is going to be okay. I'm very heartened about those guardrails. It's the very first time that I've ever heard the guides talk about that. So I really feel like the energy is now congealing to allow that to happen. And I don't think 3 weeks ago or a month ago, that was the case. I really feel like a lot of things are starting to take form. And that's probably because we're going to have a Democratic Senate and Congress. We're going to be able to really do something. So we're going to have the mandate to get some things done. So I think there's a lot to be positive about here. I think there's a lot to look forward to. The skirmishes that happen around the day that we do the thing are going to be localized, very hot spots, little hot spots here, a little hot spot there, little hot spot there. Maybe some intimidation, pushing, shoving in some other places, but nothing big. Please go out and do the thing. I'm doing my thing today. We're finally able to do the thing early here in Texas. We don't have all the things. We can't vote by mail. Said the word I wasn't supposed to. We can't do that by mail here unless you've got to prove a lot of things. And let me tell you, they will be checking you, and they'll chunk your BALLOT for no reason. So you really follow the rules wherever you're doing this. Follow the rules and know what the rules are. Look them up. I just looked up my local place to go, and my local city didn't even have this ELECTION on the page. It was from May. The last one was in May. And I wrote the city and said, are y'all crazy? I mean, do you realize this is a governor race? This is a big deal, but you don't have it listed on your local city website? I mean, what kind of flunky? I didn't say all that, but I wanted to. Anyway, just go do it. Okay. Take really good care of yourself. We'll talk soon right here on this channel. For entertainment purposes only.